Admiral Tejo stood at the large window of his office looking out at the stars. The space station called New Sol floated quietly in orbit around Earth. It was a peaceful morning, just like every morning for the past 3,000 years. But Tejo knew this peace was about to end. The communication device on his desk made a soft beeping sound. Captain Somin's voice came through the speaker. "Admiral, we have visitors," she said. "The Veltharian delegation has arrived. They want to speak with you right away." Tejo smiled. He had been waiting for this day his entire life. His father had waited for it. His grandfather had waited for it. Every human leader for 3,000 years had been waiting for this exact moment. "Send them to the main conference room," Tejo said. "And Captain, make sure everyone follows Protocol 7. "Yes, sir," Somin replied. There was something different in her voice. Not fear, but excitement. Tejo walked slowly to the conference room. Along the way, he passed other humans working at their stations. Each one looked up as he passed. Each one smiled. Not the nervous smile of someone who was scared, but the calm smile of someone who knew a secret. The conference room was large and bright. A huge table sat in the center, with chairs for both humans and aliens. The walls were covered with pictures of Earth and other human colonies. Everything looked normal and peaceful. The door opened and the Veltharian delegation walked in. They were tall creatures with gray skin and 4 arms. Their leader, War Prime Kethval, wore the traditional red armor of his people. Behind him came 6 other Veltharians, all looking very serious. Tejo stood up and bowed politely. "Welcome to New Sol Station," he said. "Please sit down." The Veltharians sat across from the humans. Kethval placed a small metal cube on the table. It was a formal declaration device used only for the most important announcements. "Admiral Tejo of the Human Federation," Kethval began, his voice deep and threatening. "I bring you a message from the Veltharian Empire." Captain Somin sat next to Tejo, along with Commander Yejin and Dr. Hyun-woo. All 3 humans watched the aliens with calm faces. Kethval pressed the cube, and it began to glow. 3,000 years ago, our peoples signed an armistice. This agreement has kept peace between our species, but the Veltharian Empire has grown strong during this time. We have built new ships, new weapons, new armies. The War Prime stood up, making himself look even taller. Humans have remained weak and small. You have not grown. You have not improved. You are still the same primitive species we defeated long ago. Tejo nodded slowly. "Please continue," he said quietly. "Therefore," Kethval announced loudly, "the Veltharian Empire officially ends the armistice. We declare war on humanity. You have 30 days to surrender or we will take your worlds by force." The room became very quiet. The Veltharians expected to see fear on the human faces. They expected crying, begging, or angry shouting. Instead, they saw something that confused them completely. Every human in the room was smiling. Tejo reached under the table and pressed a hidden button. Somewhere deep in the station, computers began sending signals across the galaxy. Messages that had been waiting 3,000 years to be sent. "War Prime Kethval," Tejo said, still smiling. "Thank you for this formal declaration. We accept." The alien leader looked confused. "Accept? Do you understand what this means?"
"We will destroy you."
"Oh, we understand perfectly," Captain Somin said. She was also smiling now. "We have been waiting for this day for a very long time." Dr. Hyun-woo leaned forward. "Tell me, War Prime, what do you know about human history?" "Real human history?" Kethval looked annoyed. "We know you are weak. We know you hide on your small worlds and do nothing important. We know you have not built any new weapons since the old war." Commander Yejin laughed softly. "That's very interesting. And where did you learn this information?" "From watching you, of course," another Veltharian said. "We have spies. We have observers. We know everything about humans." Tejo stood up and walked to one of the windows. 3,000 years ago, you defeated us in battle. It was a terrible war. Many humans died. We were forced to sign the armistice because we could not win." The Veltharians nodded, looking proud. "But here's something you might not know," Tejo continued. "Humans are very good at learning from their mistakes. We spent those 3,000 years thinking about that war. We studied every battle. We analyzed every defeat. We learned." Kethval was starting to look less confident. "What are you talking about?" Captain Somin activated a screen on the wall. It showed images of human colonies, human ships, human cities. Everything looked exactly as the Veltharians expected. Small, weak, primitive. "This is what your spies see," she said. "This is what we wanted them to see." Dr. Hyunwoo pressed another button. The images changed. Now they showed massive construction projects, hidden bases, enormous ships that looked nothing like the small vessels the aliens knew about. "This is what we actually built," he said. The Veltharians stared at the screen in shock. The ships were huge, covered in weapons they didn't recognize. The bases looked like they could hold millions of soldiers. The construction projects stretched across entire planets. "Impossible," Kethaval whispered. "We would have detected this. Our technology is superior." Taeho turned back to face the aliens. "Your technology is exactly what it was 3,000 years ago. You stopped improving because you thought you had already won. But humans, we never stopped working. We never stopped preparing." Commander Yejin stood up. "Every day for 3,000 years, humans have been getting ready for this moment. We knew you would come back. We knew you would try to finish what you started. The armistice was never real peace," Captain Somin added. "It was just time for us to get ready." The Veltharian delegation looked at each other nervously. This was not going as they had planned. "You're lying," Kethval said, but his voice was not as strong as before. "Show us proof." Taeho smiled wider. "You'll see the proof soon enough. You declared war, remember? That means you'll be meeting our real military very soon." Dr. Hyunwoo checked his watch. Actually, they should be getting their first surprise right about now. An alarm started ringing on the Veltharian ship docked outside the station. One of the alien officers touched his communication device. "War Prime," the voice said, sounding panicked. "We're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the system. Ships are appearing from nowhere. Hundreds of them. They're much larger than anything in our database." Kethaval's gray skin turned even paler. "How many ships?" "Still counting, sir. At least 500. No, wait, over 1,000 now. They just keep appearing." Taeho walked back to his chair and sat down calmly. "Those are just the ships we keep in the local area. Would you like to know how many we have in total?" The Veltharians said nothing. They just stared. 10 million ships, Captain Somin said cheerfully. "Give or take a few thousand. We've been building them for 3,000 years, remember?" Commander Yejin added. "And each one is about 50 times more powerful than your best warship. We've had a lot of time to make improvements." War Prime Kethaval stood up slowly. His forearms were shaking slightly. This changes nothing. We have allies. We have the entire Veltharian fleet." "Oh, we know about your allies," Dr. Hyunwoo said. "We've been watching them too. Very carefully." For 3,000 years, Taeho pressed another button on his desk. "War Prime, you came here to declare war on humanity. Mission accomplished. We are now officially at war." The Admiral stood up and bowed again, just as politely as before. "Thank you for coming all this way to deliver the message in person. It means a lot to us. We should probably head back to your ship now," Captain Somin suggested kindly. "You'll want to tell your empire about the new situation. I'm sure they'll be very interested to hear how things have changed." The Veltharians stumbled toward the door, looking confused and frightened. Just before they left, Kethaval turned back. "Why are you smiling?" he asked. "Why are all of you smiling?" Taeho looked at his fellow humans, then back at the alien leader. "Because," he said simply, "we've been waiting 3,000 years to show you what we learned." Dr. Hyunwoo walked quickly through the long hallways deep under the Earth's surface. The walls were made of smooth metal and bright lights lit the way ahead. He had been walking for 10 minutes, but he was still nowhere near his destination. The Department of Eternal Vigilance was buried very deep underground. As he walked, he spoke into his communication device. "This is Dr. Hyunwoo. Authorization code Phoenix Rising. Begin activation of all dormant protocols. Today is the day we have been preparing for." Voices answered him from all over the galaxy, from Mars, from Europa, from the hidden bases on 100 different worlds. "Understood, Doctor. Beginning activation sequence. All systems are ready, waiting for your command. 3,000 years of preparation. We're ready." Dr. Hyunwoo smiled as he reached the main door. It was massive, 10 meters tall and made of the strongest metal humans had ever created. Above the door, words were carved into the wall. "Never again." He placed his hand on a scanner. The machine read his fingerprints, his heartbeat, even his DNA. Only 12 humans in the entire galaxy could open this door. Dr. Hyunwoo was one of them. The door opened with a deep, rumbling sound. Beyond it was the largest room he had ever seen. It stretched in every direction, filled with computers, screens, and control panels. Hundreds of humans worked at different stations, all of them moving with purpose and excitement. "Sir," called out Engineer Dae-hyun from across the room, "all stations are reporting ready status. We can begin full activation whenever you give the order." Dr. Hyun-woo walked to the center of the room, where a large platform rose from the floor. On it was a single chair and a control panel with one big red button. He had dreamed about pressing that button his entire life. But first he wanted to explain to his team what they were really doing. "Listen to me, all of you," he called out. His voice echoed through the enormous room. "Today the Veltharians declared war on humanity. They think we are weak. They think we have spent 3,000 years doing nothing." The workers stopped what they were doing and turned to listen. "They are about to learn how wrong they are," Dr. Hyun-woo continued. "Everything we have built, everything we have planned, everything we have hidden. Today we reveal it all." He climbed onto the platform and sat in the chair. "Computer, show me the status of Project Deep Shield." A holographic display appeared in front of him. It showed the Earth, but not the Earth that most people knew about. This Earth was covered with hidden structures. Underground cities, secret factories, massive weapon systems. "All systems operational," the computer said in a calm voice. "Project Deep Shield has been maintained at full readiness for 2,847 years. Engineer Dae-hyun called out from his station. "Sir, we're receiving signals from the lunar bases. They report all mining operations are ready to convert to military production." Dr. Hyun-woo nodded. For 3,000 years, humans had been mining the moon. The Veltharian spies had watched them dig tunnels and build small facilities. What the aliens didn't know was that the humans were not mining minerals. They were building the largest weapons factory in the solar system. "Computer, show me Project Hidden Fleet." The display changed to show the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. It looked normal, just thousands of floating rocks in space. But as Dr. Hyun-woo watched, the rocks began to change. Metal covers fell away, revealing the sleek shapes of warships underneath. 15,000 ships in the primary fleet, the computer reported. All have been disguised as asteroids for the past 1,000 years. They are now ready for combat operations. A young technician named Bora looked up from her station. "Dr. Hyun-woo, we're getting reports from the outer colonies. All of them are asking permission to reveal their true defenses." Dr. Hyun-woo thought about the colonies. To the Veltharians, they looked like small farming communities and research stations. In reality, each one was a fortress capable of defending itself against an entire enemy fleet. "Tell them to wait," he said. "We want to surprise our enemies one step at a time." Engineer Dae-hyun activated another screen. "Sir, look at this. We're intercepting Veltharian communications. They're starting to panic." The screen showed translated alien text messages flying between Veltharian ships. "Where did these human ships come from? Our sensors detect massive energy readings throughout the system. These weapons are far beyond what we expected. Request immediate reinforcements." Dr. Hyun-woo laughed. "They haven't seen anything yet. Computer, activate Phase 1 of the Revelation Protocol." Across the solar system, things that had looked ordinary for thousands of years began to change. Space stations that seemed like simple research facilities opened up to reveal massive gun batteries. Cargo ships shed their fake outer hulls, showing powerful warships underneath. Communication satellites turned out to be weapons platforms. But the biggest surprise was on Earth itself. "Sir," called out a technician named Woo Jin, "all archaeological sites are reporting ready for conversion." Dr. Hyun-woo grinned. This was his favorite part of the plan. For 3,000 years, humans had been conducting archaeological digs all over the planet. They had found many real historical artifacts which they happily showed to alien observers. What they didn't show was what they were really building under the ground. "Begin surface conversion," he ordered. Around the world, the ground began to open up. What had looked like simple dig sites revealed enormous military installations. Anti-aircraft weapons rose from hidden bunkers. Massive radar systems unfolded from underground chambers. Launch pads for fighter ships opened like flowers blooming in fast motion. In Egypt, the archaeological dig near the pyramids turned out to be the entrance to an underground city that could house 10 million soldiers. In Brazil, the Rainforest Research Station was actually the command center for the largest military computer network ever built. Engineer Dae-hyun was monitoring alien communications. "Sir, the Veltharians are going crazy. They're trying to figure out how we hid all of this from them." "Simple," Dr. Hyun-woo said. "We gave them exactly what they expected to see. They thought humans were primitive, so we showed them primitive things. They thought we were weak, so we acted weak. They thought we were not building weapons, so we disguised our weapons as something else. The computer spoke again. Dr. Hyunwoo, Admiral Taeho is requesting a status report. Dr. Hyunwoo pressed a button to open a communication channel. Admiral Taeho's face appeared on the screen. He was still on the space station, but now he was in the command center instead of the conference room. Admiral, Dr. Hyunwoo said, Phase 1 is complete. All hidden installations are now active and ready for combat. Excellent work, Doctor. How are our alien friends reacting? Engineer Dae-hyun called out. Sir, they're retreating. The Veltharian delegation just left the station and they're heading back toward their fleet at maximum speed. Admiral Taeho smiled. Let them go. They need to report back to their leaders. I want the entire Veltharian Empire to know what they're facing. Dr. Hyunwoo looked around at his team. Every single person was working with enthusiasm and pride. They had spent their entire lives preparing for this moment. Doctor, the Admiral continued, begin Phase 2. It's time to show them our real technology. Dr. Hyunwoo placed his hand on the red button he had been waiting to press his whole life. Computer, activate all research facilities. Begin demonstration of advanced human technology. Around the galaxy, laboratories that had been disguised as universities and research centers revealed their true purpose. They had not been studying history or biology. They had been developing weapons that could destroy entire star systems. On Mars, the terraforming project shut down its fake atmosphere generators and activated its real purpose. A massive shipyard capable of building 1,000 warships at the same time. On Europa, the ice mining operation revealed the largest fuel production facility in known space. On Titan, the weather research station opened up to show a weapons testing ground where humans had been developing planet-killing devices for 2,000 years, but the most impressive revelation was yet to come, sir. Technician Bo-ra called out excitedly. The deep space observatories are ready to reveal their true function. Dr. Hyunwoo nodded. The Veltharians had always wondered why humans built so many telescopes in empty space. They thought humans were just curious about the stars. They were wrong. Activate the surveillance network, Dr. Hyunwoo ordered. Suddenly, every telescope in human space turned toward the approaching Veltharian fleet. But instead of studying distant stars, they began scanning the alien ships with technology the Veltharians didn't even know existed. Within minutes, the human computers knew everything about the enemy fleet, how many ships, what weapons they carried, how their shields worked, even what the alien crews had eaten for breakfast. Computer, Dr. Hyunwoo said. How long have we been monitoring Veltharian military communications? Continuous monitoring began 2,994 years ago, the computer replied. We have complete records of all Veltharian military planning, ship movements, and strategic decisions for the entire duration of the armistice. Engineer Dae-hyun looked up in amazement. We've been spying on them for almost the entire 3,000 years? Of course, Dr. Hyunwoo said. We knew they would eventually break the... Fleet Commander Zeftar stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Victory. Around him, Veltharian officers worked at their stations, preparing for what they thought would be an easy battle against the weak humans. The fleet commander looked out at his armada, 500 of the most powerful warships the Veltharian Empire had ever built. Communications officer, he called out. Any word from War Prime Kethval? Yes, sir, the officer replied. The War Prime has left the human station. He should be back within the hour. Zeftar nodded. He was confident this war would be over quickly. The humans had shown no military improvement in 3,000 years. Their ships were small and weak. Their weapons were primitive. This would be more like target practice than a real battle. Sir, the sensor officer suddenly called out. I'm detecting energy signatures in the asteroid belt. Something is moving out there. Zeftar looked at the main screen. At first he saw nothing unusual. Just the normal collection of space rocks floating between Mars and Jupiter. But then something impossible happened. The asteroids began to change. Gray metal covers fell away from the rocks, revealing sleek black warships underneath. One by one, hundreds of human vessels emerged from their hiding places. They were huge, each one twice the size of Zeftar's flagship. Impossible, whispered the tactical officer. Our sensors never detected any ships there. How many? Zeftar demanded. The sensor officer's hand shook as he worked his controls. Counting now, sir. 100? 300. 500. The number kept growing. More and more human ships appeared from what had looked like empty space. Some emerged from fake asteroids. Others seemed to materialize from nothing, their cloaking devices shutting down. 1,000 ships, sir. Still counting. Zeftar felt his confidence beginning to crack. What about their weapons? Scan their capabilities. The tactical officer worked frantically at his station. After a few minutes, he looked up with a confused expression. Sir, I can't identify their weapon systems. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our database. These aren't the primitive human weapons we studied. That's impossible, Zeftar said. We have complete intelligence on human military technology. But even as he spoke, he could see that something was very wrong. The human ships didn't look primitive at all. They were covered in smooth armor that seemed to bend light around it. Strange energy patterns danced along their hulls. Weapon ports opened and closed like living things. Sir, the communications officer called out, we're receiving a message from the human fleet. Put it on screen. The main display changed to show a young human woman in a military uniform. She looked calm and confident, not like someone who was about to be destroyed by a superior enemy force. This is Lieutenant Bora of the Human Defense Force, she said. Fleet Commander Zeftar, you are entering restricted space. Please turn around and leave immediately. Zeftar laughed loudly. Human, you are greatly outnumbered. We have 500 ships. You cannot possibly match our firepower. Bora smiled. Fleet Commander, you seem to be having trouble with basic mathematics. We have 1,047 ships in this sector alone. But numbers aren't really the important thing here. She paused and looked directly at Zeftar through the screen. The important thing is that you're about to discover what humans have been doing for the past 3,000 years. Zeftar felt a chill run through his body. What do you mean? We studied every battle from the old war, Bora explained. We analyzed every mistake we made. We learned from every defeat. And most importantly, we figured out exactly how to beat you. The human ships began to move into formation, but it wasn't like any formation Zeftar had ever seen. The ships moved like a school of fish, each one perfectly coordinated with all the others. They flowed around each other in patterns that seemed almost artistic. Sir, the tactical officer said quietly, their formation is perfect. I can't find any weak points. Zeftar ordered, fire a warning shot. Show them what our weapons can do. The Eternal Victory fired its main cannon at empty space near the human fleet. The blast was enormous, bright enough to light up the entire area. It was the most powerful weapon the Veltharians had ever built. The human ships didn't react at all. Lieutenant Bora appeared on screen again. That was very impressive, Fleet Commander. Would you like to see one of our weapons? Before Zeftar could answer, one of the human ships fired a single shot. It wasn't bright or flashy like the Veltharian weapon. It looked like a small blue dot of light that moved slowly through space. The dot hit an asteroid about the size of a small moon. The rock simply disappeared. Not exploded, not shattered, just gone. There wasn't even any debris left behind. Every Veltharian on the bridge stared in shock. Their most powerful weapon could damage an asteroid that size, but it would take dozens of shots to destroy it completely. The humans had made it vanish with one small blast. How? Zeftar whispered. 3,000 years of research, Bora replied. We had a lot of time to think about better ways to fight. The sensor officer was checking his instruments frantically. Sir, I'm detecting more human ships throughout the system. They're everywhere. Hidden in the moons, disguised as space stations, even some that look like they were built into planets. The tactical officer added, Sir, our intelligence was completely wrong. These humans aren't primitive at all. Their technology is far beyond ours. Zeftar tried to stay calm, but his confidence was completely gone. How many ships do they have? Bora heard the question and answered, in this system? About 10,000 in total. Well, we've been building for 3,000 years. You can do the math. The fleet commander felt sick. 10,000 ships and each one more powerful than his entire fleet combined. But that's not the worst part, Bora continued. The worst part is that we know everything about you. A new display appeared on the human communication screen. It showed detailed information about every ship in Zeftar's fleet. Not just the basic information that might be available to spies, but everything. The exact strength of their shields, the location of their weapons, even the names and backgrounds of the crew members. We've been watching you for 3,000 years, Bora explained. Every ship you built, every weapon you tested, every strategy you developed. We know it all. Seftar looked around his bridge. His officers were all staring at their instruments in disbelief. Sir, the communications officer said quietly, they even know about our secret backup fleet, the one hidden in the outer rim. They're showing complete technical specifications for ships that were supposed to be classified. And our new stealth technology, added the tactical officer. They have detailed scans of prototypes that haven't even been finished yet. Bora nodded. We told you we've been very thorough. Every time you thought you were developing something new, we were already working on ways to defeat it. Seftar realized that his entire species had been living in a dream. They thought they were the superior military force in the galaxy. They thought they understood their enemies. They thought 3,000 years of peace had made them stronger. They were wrong about everything. What do you want? He asked finally. Right now? We want you to go home, Bora said. Take your fleet and leave human space. Go back to your leaders and tell them what you've seen here. And if we refuse? Bora's expression became very serious. Fleet commander, you brought 500 ships to attack us. We could destroy all of them in about 30 seconds, but we don't want to do that unless we have to, she paused. Your war prime declared war on humanity. We accepted that declaration. But war doesn't have to mean pointless slaughter. It can mean demonstration of superiority instead. One of the human ships moved closer to the Veltharian fleet. As it approached, parts of its hull became transparent, showing the interior. Seftar could see the command deck, where human officers worked calmly at their stations. But what really shocked him was the size of the crew. His flagship needed 2,000 Veltharians to operate. The human ship, which was twice as large, seemed to have only about 50 people on board. How is that possible? He asked. Automation, Bora replied. 3,000 years of technological development. Our ships are so advanced that they practically run themselves. The tactical officer was studying the human ship with his sensors. Sir, I'm detecting power levels that shouldn't be possible. Their reactor is generating more energy than our entire fleet combined. Seftar felt the last of his confidence disappear. What are you? We're what you made us, Bora answered. 3,000 years ago, you defeated us in battle. That defeat taught us something very important. We needed to become stronger. She gestured toward the massive human fleet surrounding them. So we did. We spent every single day of the armistice becoming stronger, smarter, and more prepared. While you celebrated your victory and stopped improving, we never stopped working. The fleet commander looked at his officers. They were all waiting for his orders, but what orders could he give? They were completely outmatched. We surrender, he said quietly. Bora shook her head. We're not accepting surrenders yet, fleet commander. This war just started. You need to go back and tell your people what they're really fighting against. Why? Because, Bora said with a smile that reminded Seftar of Admiral. President Jihi stood before the Galactic Council in the Great Assembly Hall on the neutral world of Concordia. Representatives from dozens of alien species filled the curved rows of seats, all of them looking nervous and confused. The emergency session had been called after reports of the human military demonstration reached governments across the galaxy. The council leader, an ancient creature named Wise Singer Yoth from the Ethereal Collective, spoke first. His voice echoed through the chamber like wind through hollow trees. President Jihi of the Human Federation, he said formally, this council is deeply concerned about recent events. The Veltharian Empire claims that humanity has violated the armistice by building secret military forces. Jihi smiled calmly. She was a small woman, especially compared to the giant aliens around her, but she carried herself with quiet confidence. Honored Wise Singer, she replied. Humanity has violated nothing. The armistice agreement specifically prohibited acts of aggression. It said nothing about building defenses. Councillor Thexaran from the Molten Core Federation stood up, his rock-like body glowing with heat. But President, your military buildup was hidden from all galactic observers. This suggests deception. Councillor Thexaran, Jihi said, with respect, humanity was not required to share our defensive preparations with anyone. We chose to keep them private. The Veltharian representative, War Prime Kethaval himself, rose from his seat. He looked much less confident than he had on the space station. But he still spoke with authority. The humans claim this was all defensive, he announced loudly, but they have built an offensive military force beyond anything the galaxy has ever seen. They are a threat to every peaceful species. President HFY activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. It showed a timeline covering the past 3,000 years. War Prime Kethaval speaks of threats to peaceful species, she said. Let me show the Council what we discovered during our 3,000 years of observation. The display showed intercepted Veltharian communications from throughout the armistice period. Messages between military commanders, secret government documents, plans for future conquests. These are communications we intercepted from Veltharian military networks, HFY explained. They show that the Veltharian Empire never intended to honor the armistice permanently. The alien representatives leaned forward to read the translated text. The messages were clear and damning. Phase 1 complete. Humans remain weak and unprepared. Continue technology development. War resumes in 50 years. Human defensive capabilities remain minimal. Victory assured. Final invasion plans approved. Armistice ends when convenient. Wise Singer Yoth's large eyes focused on War Prime Kethaval. These messages suggest that your empire was planning to break the armistice regardless of human actions. Kethaval's gray skin flushed darker. Those communications are taken out of context. President HFY activated more displays. Here is additional context. Veltharian military spending during the armistice period. Notice that it never decreased even during times of supposed peace. The data showed a steady increase in Veltharian military production over 3 millennia. Ships, weapons, soldiers, everything had grown steadily larger. And here, HFY continued, are the invasion plans we intercepted just 2 years ago. The new display showed detailed Veltharian strategies for conquering human space. Maps of Earth, lists of human colonies to be destroyed, plans for enslaving human populations. The council chamber became very quiet. Representatives from peaceful species looked horrified at the Veltharian plans. Counselor Bright Thoughts from the Crystal Harmony spoke in her musical voice. President HFY, these documents suggest that humanity knew war was inevitable. Why didn't you warn the council? Because, HFY replied, we knew that some council members had connections to the Veltharian Empire. We couldn't risk our defensive preparations being compromised. She gestured toward several alien representatives. Counselor Thexeron's people sell rare metals to Veltharian shipyards. The Gaseous Union provides fuel for their fleet. The Machine Collective has been sharing technology with them. The accused counselors looked uncomfortable, but none denied the charges. So you see, President HFY continued, humanity was completely alone. We couldn't trust anyone to help us. We had to prepare by ourselves, in secret. War Prime Kethaval stood up again. Even if this is true, the humans have built weapons capable of destroying entire star systems. They are now the greatest threat in the galaxy. Interesting point, HFY said. Tell me, War Prime, how do you know about our weapon capabilities? Your fleet retreated before any serious fighting began. Kethaval paused. He had revealed more than he intended. President HFY smiled. I suspect you know about our weapons because your empire has been developing similar technology. Should we share our intelligence on Veltharian planet killer projects? The War Prime sat down quickly, his forearms trembling slightly. Wise Singer Yoth spoke again. President HFY, the Council understands that humanity felt threatened, but your current military capability far exceeds what would be needed for simple defense. Does it? HFY asked. Let me show you something else we discovered. A new holographic display appeared showing a map of the galaxy. Veltharian space was highlighted in red, and it was much larger than most Council members realized. This is the true extent of Veltharian territory, HFY explained. Not just the systems they publicly claim, but all the worlds they secretly control through puppet governments and hidden colonies. The map showed that Veltharian influence reached into nearly every sector of known space. They controlled twice as much territory as their official borders suggested. And here, HFY continued, are their military installations in supposedly neutral space. New markers appeared on the map, showing hidden Veltharian bases throughout the galaxy. Some were disguised as trading posts. Others were hidden inside asteroids just like the human ships had been. The Veltharian Empire has been preparing for galactic conquest for 3,000 years, President HFY said. Their war declaration against humanity was just the first step. She activated another display showing intercepted battle plans. These documents outline their strategy for conquering the entire galaxy within 50 years. Every species represented in this council is on their target list. The alien representatives began talking among themselves in worried voices. The Crystal Harmony delegates sang a low, mournful song. The Machine Collective representatives' lights blinked rapidly in distress. Counselor Thexran's rocky face showed deep concern. If this is true, then every peaceful species is in danger. It is true, Jihai confirmed. And that's why humanity built the military force we did. We weren't just defending ourselves. We were preparing to defend everyone. War Prime Kethaval stood up one more time. These accusations are lies. The Veltharian Empire seeks only to restore order to a chaotic galaxy. President Jihai looked at him calmly. War Prime, would you be willing to allow neutral observers to inspect your hidden military installations? That's classified information. Of course it is, Jihai said. Just like our defensive preparations were classified. She turned back to the council. The difference is that we're willing to share our information now, because the threat is revealed. We'll gladly allow inspections of our facilities by neutral parties. Weisinger Yoth considered this offer. That is, surprisingly generous, President Jihai. It's practical, she replied. We want everyone to understand that humanity's goal is not conquest. It's protection. Captain Sungmin, who had been standing quietly behind the president, stepped forward. If I may address the council, he said. I command one of the human fleets currently defending our space. I'd like to explain our actual military strategy. The council leader nodded permission. Our strategy is very simple, Captain Sungmin explained. We don't invade. We don't conquer. We don't destroy unless we have to. Instead, we demonstrate overwhelming superiority until our enemies realize that fighting is pointless. He activated a new display showing the recent encounter with Fleet Commander Zeftar's forces. Notice that we could have destroyed the entire Veltharian fleet in minutes, he said. Instead, we let them retreat safely. We want them to go home and report what they saw. Counselor Brightthought sang a questioning melody. But why? Wouldn't it be more effective to simply eliminate the threat? President Jihai answered. Because our goal isn't to win a war. Our goal is to prevent all future wars. She gestured toward the display still showing Veltharian battle plans. Look at these invasion strategies. Notice how they depend on other species being weak and divided. But what if other species weren't weak? A new understanding began to spread through the council chamber. You're offering to share your technology, Weisinger Yoth said slowly. Under the right conditions? Yes, Jihai confirmed. We propose a new galactic defense alliance. Every peaceful species working together, with access to defensive technology that makes aggression impossible. And the Veltharian Empire? Asked Counselor Thexran. They can join the alliance too, President Jihai said. All they have to do is abandon their conquest plans and accept peaceful coexistence. War Prime Kethaval laughed bitterly. You think the mighty Veltharian Empire will surrender to a species of primitives? 6 months after the war declaration, Admiral Tejo stood on the observation deck of the Veltharian homeworld's orbital surrender platform. Through the transparent walls, he could see the planet below, a world that had once seemed so threatening to humanity, now peaceful and quiet. The war that was supposed to last for decades had ended in less than 4 months. Not through massive battles or the destruction of entire fleets, but through something much more powerful, the complete demonstration of futility. War Prime Kethaval approached, no longer wearing his red armor of war, but simple gray robes of a civilian administrator. His forearms moved slowly and his once proud bearing had been replaced by something like relief. Admiral Tejo, he said quietly, the surrender documents have been signed by all Veltharian regional commanders. Our military forces are standing down as agreed. Tejo nodded respectfully. Thank you, Kethaval. I know this wasn't easy for your people. The former War Prime looked out at his homeworld. Easy, no, but necessary. When your fleets appeared simultaneously over every Veltharian military installation in the galaxy, when we realized you had been watching us for 3,000 years, when we understood that resistance was not just futile but pointless. He trailed off, shaking his head in wonder. How long did you know? Kethaval asked. How long did you know that we were planning to resume the war? Admiral Tejo considered the question. We suspected from the beginning. The armistice was signed because you had defeated us, not because you had forgiven us. Humans don't forget lessons like that. Ambassador So Young joined them on the observation deck, carrying a datapad with the final treaty documents. She had spent the past month negotiating the terms of the new Galactic Peace Accords. The integration process is going smoothly, she reported. Feltharian scientists are working with our teams to convert their military facilities into civilian research centers. Their shipyards will be building exploration vessels instead of warships. Kethval sighed. My people are adjusting. For so long, we defined ourselves as the galaxy's strongest military force. It's difficult to accept that we're no longer even close. You don't need to be, Admiral Tejo said gently. That's the point of the new system. Through the observation windows, they could see human and Veltharian workers cooperating on a massive construction project. What had once been the planet's largest military academy was being converted into a center for peaceful scientific research. Ambassador So Young activated her datapad, showing a holographic display of the galaxy. Instead of the red markers that had once indicated Veltharian military threats, the display now showed blue markers representing the new Galactic Defense Network. 47 species have joined the alliance so far, she explained. Each one contributes according to their abilities, and each one receives protection according to their needs. The system was elegantly simple. Peaceful species could focus on what they did best: art, science, exploration, trade, while humanity provided the defensive umbrella that made aggression impossible. Not through threat of retaliation, but through the guarantee that any aggressive force would face overwhelming coordinated resistance. Engineer Wu Jin appeared in the doorway of the observation deck. Admiral, we're ready to begin the final phase of the disarmament protocol. Admiral Tejo turned to Kethval. Are you sure about this? Once we deactivate the military protocols, there's no going back. Kethval nodded firmly. Admiral, 3,000 years ago, my people defeated yours in battle. We were proud of our strength. We thought we were the masters of the galaxy. He looked at the peaceful scene below. Now I understand that true strength isn't the ability to destroy your enemies. It's the ability to make enemies unnecessary. The 3 humans and 1 Veltharian walked together to the control center of the surrender platform. The room was filled with representatives from dozens of species, all working together to finalize the new galactic order. Dr. Yunji looked up from her station. Admiral, all systems are ready. Human military forces are standing by to transition from active defense to passive monitoring. This was perhaps the most remarkable part of the entire process. Humanity had built the most powerful military force in galactic history, then voluntarily began scaling it back once the threat was eliminated. Status report, Admiral Tejo requested. Captain Sungmin appeared on the main screen, transmitting from the command ship of the primary defense fleet. Sir, all offensive weapon systems have been deactivated as planned. We're maintaining defensive capabilities only, Engineer Wu Jin added. The automated defense network is fully operational. Any species that attempts military aggression will face immediate, overwhelming response from the closest defense stations. But, Dr. Yunji noted with satisfaction, no single species, including humanity, has the ability to use the network for conquest. The safeguards we built in make offensive operations impossible. Ambassador So Young smiled. It's the ultimate expression of human strategic thinking. We built a military system so powerful that it made military systems obsolete. Kethval watched the humans work with obvious admiration. You could have conquered the entire galaxy, he said. Your technology, your intelligence networks, your strategic superiority, you could have made every species your subjects. Admiral Tejo shook his head. Conquest was never the goal, Kethval. We didn't want to rule the galaxy. We wanted to save it. He gestured toward the displays showing peaceful cooperation throughout known space. 3,000 years ago, when your people defeated us, we learned something important. Not just about military tactics or weapons technology, but about the nature of conflict itself. What did you learn? Kethval asked. We learned that there's no such thing as permanent victory through force, Admiral Tejo explained. You defeated us, but that just made us more determined. If we had defeated you, it would have made you more determined. The cycle would have continued forever. Dr. Yunji looked up from her station. Admiral, the final shutdown is complete. All human offensive military systems are now dormant. Engineer Wu Jin checked his instruments. Confirmed. The 3,000-year military buildup is officially over. The control room fell silent for a moment. Humans and aliens alike realized they were witnessing a historic moment. The voluntary end of the greatest military force ever assembled. Captain Sungmin's voice came through the speakers. "Admiral, it's been an honor to serve in the Defense Force. What are your orders for the fleet?" Admiral Taeho smiled. "Captain, your new orders are to explore the galaxy, find new worlds, make contact with new species, and help them join our alliance of peace." The transformation was already beginning. The same ships that had terrified the Veltharian Empire were now being converted for exploration and scientific research. Weapons laboratories were becoming medical research centers. Military academies were becoming universities. Ambassador So Young activated a new display showing the status of former Veltharian military personnel. "Over 90% have chosen to retrain for civilian careers," she reported. "Many are joining exploration crews or scientific research teams," Kethval nodded. "My people are discovering that there's more honor in building than in destroying, more satisfaction in creating than in conquering." He looked at Admiral Taeho with deep respect. "You humans did something my species never imagined possible. You won a war by making war itself obsolete." Engineer Wu Jin was monitoring communications from across the galaxy. "Admiral, we're receiving reports from all sectors. The transition to the new system is proceeding smoothly. No conflicts, no resistance. That's because," Dr. Yunji said, "everyone can see that the new system works. Peaceful species are safer than they've ever been. Aggressive species are discovering that cooperation is more rewarding than conflict." Admiral Taeho walked to the large window and looked out at the stars. For 3,000 years, those stars had represented potential battlefields. Now they represented infinite possibilities for peaceful exploration and cooperation. "The 3,000-year vigil is over," he said quietly. "Humanity can finally stop preparing for war." Ambassador So Young joined him at the window. "What will we do now? What does humanity become when we're not defined by the need to prepare for conflict?" Admiral Taeho smiled. "We become explorers again, teachers, scientists, artists. All the things we could have been if we hadn't needed to spend 3,000 years getting ready for this war." Kethval approached them. "Admiral, my people would like to make a formal request." "What kind of request?" "We want to learn," the former war prime said simply. "For 3,000 years, humans studied us. You learned our weaknesses, our strategies, our capabilities. Now we want to learn from you." He gestured toward the peaceful scene outside. "We want to learn how to think the way humans think. How to plan for centuries instead of decades. How to turn defeat into victory. How to make strength serve peace instead of conquest." Admiral Taeho extended his hand in the human gesture of friendship. "Kethval, we would be honored to teach you. That's what allies do. They learn from each other." As they shook hands, Engineer Wu Jin announced, "Admiral, the final shutdown is complete. All ancient protocols have been deactivated. The emergency systems that have been running for 3,000 years are finally at rest.